Hey, Stay Paid listeners, Josh here. Just a quick note before this week's interview. This is actually an episode we recorded before we changed the format of the podcast, but we wanted to make sure that we got it out because this is a fantastic interview with Grigory. He leads the #1 independent real estate team in all of Illinois, so we know that this is going to be a fantastic interview. So please enjoy this week's episode.
Welcome to the Stay Paid podcast, where we help agents and entrepreneurs master the latest business trends to unlock growth and create a life of freedom. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Josh Steik, along with Luke Acree, and our guest today is Grigory Pekarsky. Excuse me, Grigory. Grigory co-founded and heads up the #1 independent real estate team in Illinois, the Vesta team at Vesta Preferred. After
you
coming
had the best intro
after coming off of the best intro.
We actually have the King of Prussia with us today.
We actually have the King of Prussia, absolutely. Founded in 2009, servicing Chicago, Vesta Preferred has been consistently recognized nationally as a leader in the online lead space, boasting one of the best closing ratios in the country. The Vesta team has helped thousands of families find their homes and have achieved over $900 million in lifetime sales. There you go. I cleaned it up by the end. Grigory, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor.
Hey, man, we're super excited to have you on. Would love to hear how you got into real estate and got to a level to where you are.
Insane.
Yeah, such a producer, because that is not normal. Everybody knows the failure rates. But what led you on this journey of getting into real estate and building the team that you have?
It starts with complete luck, chance. Everything, like anything else that's great, comes out of just, seeing what throws on the wall and sees what sticks, right? So kind of taking it a step back, I was always, even as a kid, trying to build businesses, grow businesses. I don't know why. It was just always an interesting thing to me to create something out of nothing, or, can I find a way to make $1 out of this? I don't know why. I remember walking around my neighbors' houses and being like, hey, for $1, would you give me $1 if I raked your leaves? And it was like, just would literally like knock on the doors. I remember that as vividly as yesterday. Yeah. So I don't know why I've always had that interest in me, but that led to an entrepreneurial spirit throughout my whole life. And I actually went to Michigan State for veterinary medicine. And I realized as I was finishing my pre-vet degree, I love animals. I don't love the pathway of being a veterinarian. So I completely shifted. I went into finance, finished with the finance degree. And I entered at a marketing company in Manhattan the summer before I started real estate. I got interviewed by a real estate company out of Chicago, and I never thought about Chicago. I never thought about real estate, but I was kind of in this place where I was like, well, I guess first thing that slaps me across the face is where I'm going to go. So I was only in Chicago a few times prior for like New Year's Eve bashes and going nuts. So I didn't really have much to go off of, and real estate is not a part of my family background, nothing like that. So I came in and I started to work for a company, and 6 months, the first 6 months was the most challenging 6 months of my entire life. But then I started to kind of get the knack for it. And after that, it's essentially, the rest was history.
How many years again have you been in real estate?
Yeah. So I started in January of 2008.
Okay. Of 2008. Wow. What timing, man. So no wonder it was.
Again, it was like fresh out of college. Like I still remember
you're like, well, the whole world's coming to an end. So let me get into real estate where the housing market is collapsing.
I remember watching the terrible videos of people jumping off the tops of their buildings after their entire stock portfolios go down. I'm like, that doesn't sound like it's a good thing for the economy. And then let me do real estate. That sounds like a great thing to do when the entire economy is burning down. But I started, I'm sorry, was that?
Oh, no, you go ahead and finish. Yeah.
No, but I started on the rental side of things.
Okay.
And again, everything is by chance, fate, all that stuff. I believe in the universe kind of pointing you in the right direction. It was hands down the best time to get into rentals. No one was buying, but everybody still needed a house, like honest rentals. And I started in a city that had this system and this model that's very unique, where it was an open source, bring a client to a beautiful downtown rental building and you get paid first month's rent. So I was like, had this abundance of inventory, got really good understanding what to sell. And then it was just a matter of sourcing clients and figuring out how to maximize time. So it was like like an incredible hockey stick moment for me when it came to being able to grow my business really quickly.
Yeah, that truly is incredible. It's funny, like we've done so many. What episode is this?
560, something like that. But yeah,
we've done so many interviews, and it's interesting how many top producers started right at the crash. And there's got to be a huge correlation of when you are starting in adversity and you overcome it, it just trains your brain of how to like push, like how to, and you wonder if the failure rate and so many people are getting out right now is because for the last 10 years, it's been the greatest real estate run ever, it feels like. And so it's like, speak to like, do you feel like, cause you have a team, right? And you're trying to get people on your team. I think you told us 3% higher rate. So it's really difficult to get on your team. What do you look for in agents to try to judge, do they have what it takes?
I look for 3 core principles, and those are the unteachable things: best in class attitude, best in class work ethic, humility. So they're coachable. Those 3 things are the most challenging combinations to find in humans, period. And real estate agents, you knock out 90% of people right away. The remaining 7% that don't come on board are people that don't want to work on a team environment. They don't like volume selling. So just my model doesn't work for them, right? So the way that I sell, it's full transparency sell, and I don't sell, right? Like if I have to sell you anything, this isn't going to work. This has to be a beautiful marriage between what I offer to what you're looking for, and then kind of in a harmonious sync.
I love that.
I can guide you towards your real estate greatness, but my model works for you.
Can you talk a little bit about your model of like, specifically like our show is all about marketing and then selling. Like how do you think about generating leads for the people on your team, or how did they go about that? And then, kind of the sales process.
Yeah. So you need, again, 3 things to be successful in real estate. You need leads, you need systems, and you need accountability. So for the last 15 years, right, what we've gotten to be the greatest at is online lead curation. So we have between 50 to 100 leads that come in every single day into the company, right? Wow. So that's first. Secondly, then you have your systematic approach, right? Because what is success? You just do the right thing consistently over a long period of time, right? It doesn't matter what you're trying to get great at. If you just follow a plan and you know the right activities over a long period of time, you're going to be successful. So we have a CRM that guides based off of actions, not results, because you can't say, I want to sell $10 million in real estate. I mean, you can say it, you can't control it. But if you know that $10 million in real estate means 42 calls every single day, you can control that, right? You can control how many calls. So we focus on the MMAs, money-making activities, and we plug it into our CRM, and everybody is razor-sharp focused on completing their actions for the day. And what most people realize is that you don't need 8 hours in the day to get them all done. If you have just a focused effort of 2 to 3 hours every single day, knowing what you got to do, you will do more in a day than most people do in their entire week.
That's
right?
amazing.
I think the most dangerous statement a realtor can say is, what did I do today? I know I was busy, but I don't know what I did today, right? I remember myself doing that all the time when I was beginning my career. And that is a no-build mindset, right? You can't build off of that. You don't know where you're going, and you're constantly this hamster in a wheel spinning. And that's when the exhaustion comes into place, right? And the third piece, which is accountability, is the coaching piece. We meet with everybody every single week, one-on-one, and we look at the 3 things that we coach on. Again, the power of 3s: attitude, behavior, and technique, right? So the greatness is found within those 3 elements. And because we track all of the activities and the actions, we know where somebody is failing or excelling because we know our conversion ratios, so that we know where an individual needs to be coached at, particularly in this moment in time.
What do you attribute those? Because you mentioned one of the highest closing ratios. Like, what do you attribute that to? Is it finding, only taking on certain clients? Is it the actual sale? Like, what do you attribute that to?
Consistency, right? So we have a very specific process for pre-qualing, right? We have a very specific process of what we do when we go on appointments. We have a very specific process of follow-up, right? So it all becomes, everything in sales is a math game, right? Mm-hmm. Real estate is all about the math. So we know that if you have 10 clients, that 10 people that come in, right, leads, we know that, for example, 6 of them should be somebody that can at least convert. Out of those 6, you should be able to get 3 of them on appointments. Out of those 3, you should be able to get 1 person to write a contract. right? And every single process from new client to nurturing client to appointment set to appointment met to contracts done has numbers behind it. And what we do is we follow the entire lifespan of this relationship. And if somebody isn't completing the expected ratio, we lean, why? Why are you not doing that, right? We don't let them say, well, you know, we look at the actions, right? So a great example is an agent of ours had 20 clients come in and she didn't get a single appointment set. And we're like, there's something going on here. She just couldn't figure it out. Well, we listened to the phone calls and we figured out that she wasn't asking the right questions. Right. So she started asking the right questions. Well, lo and behold, she started getting the appointments out. Yeah. Same thing can be done if you go out with an X amount of people and nobody's writing contracts. Well, what are you doing on these appointments? Right. So we coach on attitude, behavior, and technique. Attitude, if you don't have a great attitude, you're never going to succeed. Period. 70% of your success is based on attitude. 20% is behavior. Those are the MMAs. Are you doing them correctly? Are you executing them properly? Right. I had an agent say that she was making calls. When we looked at it, she just was saying she was calling them, but she wasn't actually calling them. Right. Because it's all in the numbers. Like she obviously wasn't calling because her next level of expectation wasn't there. If you're doing attitude and behavior, but you're still not getting the results, the last piece, which is the good to great, is the technique piece. That's the 10%. That's what get good agents to great agents. That's how do you negotiate? How do you have the pitching on the scripting? How do you talk to somebody when they're on an appointment to get them to write a contract, right? But that's only 10%. And that 10% is only worth it if you get the first 90% done properly.
Dang. 70% is attitude.
7% is attitude.
Is that innate? Like, are you only looking for people that have the right attitude, or is that teachable?
That's not teachable. No, that's why it's one of the core 3 things that I look for when I'm hiring somebody, right? Okay. And you can tell right away if somebody's got a good attitude, right? At least I can. I've been doing this for so long. I've had so many agents with bad attitudes flunked out immediately. I am like what's it called? Allergic to bad attitudes. Right? I feel it. I sense it. My business partner and I, when we started this company, we were like, we're going to have this big company. We're going to have all of these agents, and all that ended up happening. We just had a company of losers, and we were like, I can't ever do this again. So now I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, right? Take action, right? This is a full podcast. All right, sweet. So now we only want to grow with quality. So we look for and we hire very slowly because it's so challenging to find. But once we have it, they have to fit into the culture. Everything has to make sense. It has to feel right. But it's an amazing thing when it's there, and it's all a value add. Everybody that comes in is a plug-in, right? They come in and they're a net positive to the culture, and that's what I look for.
This episode is brought to you by Wix.com. Digital marketers, this one's for you. I've got about 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for agencies and enterprises. So here's a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less when you manage projects on Wix Studio. Work in sync with your team on one canvas. Reuse templates, widgets, and sections across sites. Create a client kit for seamless handovers. And leverage best-in-class SEO defaults across all your Wix sites. Time's up, but the list keeps on going. Step into Wix Studio to see more.
Curious, just so the audience says, what CRM are you using to help you facilitate this? Just so they can.
Yeah, for sure. It's a small CRM out of Austin, Texas. It's called Great Agent.
Great Agent. Okay.
They only give a certain amont of licenses per city.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
I've never heard of them. I'll have to write that down. Great.
Yeah, it's a really small company, but they have probably 200 to 300 clients. So it's not like tiny.
Yeah.
The owner, CEO, his name is Jasper. Awesome dude.
That's great.
Product, right? I have them on speed dial if something goes down, right? Which is a very unique,
that's definitely unique. Yeah.
I was using follow-up boss, that ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
So it's been really good. It's like automatic plans. It's got the text. It's got everything you really want. But the most important thing is it's hyper focused on the actions and the activities and following.
I love that. I think you're spot on with that. Of the death nail to every real estate agent is when their feet hit the floor in the morning, they have no idea what they're supposed to do. They have no idea, and the calendar is not booked up. It's not regimented, and it's like every other business. That's not how it works. You actually have a job. You actually have activities and tasks you have to do. So I think you're spot on. So talk a little bit about you're generating 50 leads a day. That is amazing. Where are they coming from? Are you doing a myriad of different things? Like what's your main lead source generator? Is it social? Is it pay-per-click? What is it?
So it's got like we have a whole kind of a ton of different funnels, right? So like we're constantly looking for new inbounds. A really good inbound for us is Zillow Flex, right? So we're a Zillow Flex team.
Yep.
They're awesome. We have bigger pockets, right? So we do a lot of investment stuff. PPC, we have a massive AI arm that is messaging tens of thousands of people, sourcing them, constantly looking for someone to raise their arm up. We have 2 ISAs constantly pounding the phones and seeing our past clients, right? We have Facebook leads, which are just the worst of the dog shit of all leads. But it's like, again, it's a volume game, right?
It is, yeah.
Like you convert 1 out of 1,000. They're so cheap that it makes sense, right? And we monitor each funnel by conversion ratio. All we look for is if I can spend $1 here, can I make $3 over there? Right. That's all we look for. That's the only conversion ratio we look for. Yeah,
no, it makes so much sense, and I agree with you there. How many calls do you find it takes to convert a lead? Are you guys tracking that, or we've seen? Just to give you an idea, like on our side, we've seen it's about 18 calls to even almost like get the person qualified. When I say conversion, I mean like actually qualified on Facebook leads specifically. I'm sure different leads are different ways, but what have you seen?
So we operate on a little bit of a different scale. For us, we call it a minute or less. So what we found is that if you have an inbound lead and you don't call them within that first minute, you have a 50% less chance of ever getting them back on the phone. Right. Wow. So it's like our whole thing is minute or less. So just being like hyper obsessed with that. So that's why when we have Facebook leads, for example, right, we don't even call them, right? It's just the system starts automatically texting them, right? It's not as effective to text. I get that. But when you have a 1 out of 1,000 closing ratio, you can't call all these people, right? So you're just, everything is like immediate, like, can we get somebody to do some sort of action? The AI thing is super interesting too, because what we're now looking with big data is we're understanding the psychology behind people's actions. And sometimes it's like the 200th text with a specific type of property that goes out that gets them to look. And then when they're looking, they look at a specific picture and they're like, okay, they're really liking this bathroom. And the AI is smart enough to know that and then sends them another listing the next time with a better bathroom in the same location with the same price. Jeez. So it's like, it's crazy. I mean,
is that happening through your CRM or is that another company?
So it's the company I use is called Localize. They're an amazing company.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the biggest name right now in AI for real estate.
Yep.
The team there is amazing. What I like about them is they also have a human arm. So if somebody raises their hand, they have a live ISAs that call, and then if they're legit and they're ready to go, then they do a pass out to my team.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Every part of the process has mass action behind it. Right. Yeah. And that's just what we've learned in the last 15 years.
Okay, man, it's just freaking ridiculous how good you know your numbers and your systems. It's amazing compared to most people.
Who are you? Name's Joshua. I just got into real estate and my business cards aren't working. You're still using business cards to create a first impression? Yeah. Dude, what if I told you you could hand out a copy of your very own personally branded magazine for less than the price of a fancy Starbucks drink? You can be the proud owner of a beautifully designed 48-page coffee table publication branded with your image and contact information in 6 key places. I mean, that sounds great, but I just see you're doing an ad read. Shh. Ask me about the evergreen articles. What about the evergreen articles? I'm glad you asked. Between the covers are evergreen articles and recipes your clients will love and includes 2 tear-out cards in each magazine that are great for sharing. You tell us who's more likely to stand out from the competition, an agent with a business card or one with their very own magazine. To request a free sample, visit remindermedia.com/staypaidnewagent. That's remindermedia.com/staypaidnewagent. Take action on this today. Wow, that sounds great.
Hey Josh, I have an update on... What are you doing?
I was just doing an ad read and forget about it.
I'm curious, like for you, What's the next phase? Like, what's the next phase to take it to the next level? Like, what have you identified as holding you back in your mind?
One thing, it's people.
People.
That's it. So the thing for me, my challenge is finding humans that can operate at the levels that we need to be able to be successful at this. We've proven the ability to 10 to 12x an agent's business. I was like, man, that's the first. Can this model? So like, kind of take a step back, right? So the way that we look, and what the new model that we created about 3.5 years ago is we looked at an agent's day to day, right? And we were like, all right, what do agents do every single day? And we realized is 95% of the stuff you do is just time consuming, doesn't make you any money. And the 5% is where you go meet clients and you do your thing, but you are just bombarded by all this crap, scheduling appointments, running your earnest money, all of that stuff. So we're like, what if we flip the script? What if we, as a company, organized and gave all of the business elements that an agent needs so they don't do that, right? So we set appointments for them. We do all of the transaction management. We do all of their marketing. We do everything that they need to do. And all they need to do is do what they're great at, which is picking up the phone, nurturing the client, and closing the business. And then that's it. And what we ended up seeing is that because we can become so efficient as a company to do the company-based elements of those other things, we then become way more profitable as a company, and the agent becomes not just profitable. I'm talking like monster. Like they become 10, 12x. The minimum we X is 4x here when the first year somebody comes here, right?
Jeez.
And we call it a net income model here. It goes away from commissions and things like that, because 99% of brokerages, all they do is like, well, look at our beautiful brand name in our cool office. Come here, you'll succeed. We flip the script on that. We want to give more business to an agent than they bring into the company, right? We want to give them more leads through the leads we provide and also through the systems and coaching. So they're just becoming a lot more profitable. And then we are profitable as a company because now everybody fits into the cog of the machine. We're like an assembly line of efficiency and excellence.
Yeah.
So that's what we built, and that's what we've been able to cultivate. But being able to find people that fit into a specific piece of the puzzle has become the most challenging thing. Growing a $100 million team is really, really, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Finding great people is about 10 times harder. I found.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's like the same. I mean, we're a marketing company, right? So we're different, vein, but it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like, it's all about the people. Hence, I was on a call with a high level recruiter person before this call, thinking about hiring him in to help us recruit A players, type idea. But it's the same thing because it all comes down to the people. I'm curious, there's companies out there like Hauser, Redfin, right, where they have employees. And the thing that I see their problem, right, because like Hauser and stuff is here, local Philly. I've met their owner and stuff like that. Or like Redfin, I don't know them super well, but I go, they don't have what you have, which is the model for what the task is every single day. Like that's where I think their models break down. They try to run a traditional real estate brokerage through an employee-based system. And I'm like, that don't work. You need to run like literally like my business. I have 170 people on the phones right now, and it's systematized. You got to make this many dials a day. You got to call these people. Like it's all like you're an employee. This is what you do. I don't let my people just make up their day and stuff like that, but I feel like these other companies do. Have you ever tried like hiring an employee just to go show the houses, just to go do the close? Like, have you ever thought about that? I'm just curious.
So it's funny you say that. So we have a position called the associate broker here.
Okay.
And the associate broker is somebody that really wants to get in. They have show all this promise. They have no database, right? But they have this incredible like knack for just wanting to be great. Well, what we do is we give them a small salary base, and they're responsible for partner files. So basically, like I have associate brokers that help me run open houses. They help me with my initial buyers, take them out, and they're learning on the fly. But the most important thing that I get back is my time, right? So what we found out and we realized in this model is that we're naturally bringing the most ambitious people together. And my business partner and I, that is what we are. We are top of the line ambitious people. And one thing that ambitious people always ask for is what's next? What's next? Where am I going? What's my journey? And also, how do I get my time back? So we knew that was going to happen when we bring these individuals in. They have about a 2-year run of online leads before they're like, Uncle, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But the bunny's so good, and we're so good at it, we're ready to coach people.
Dude, it's so similar to our model. That's so funny.
Yeah. So then we advance them to the next stage, which is a partner, where we give them a team underneath them so that they can coach like we coach them. But most importantly, we also give them an associate broker that then will give them their time back, and they will be able to focus on get their team more profitable, make themselves more profitable, and make the company more profitable. So that is the one employee that we have here.
Okay. That's pretty unique. That's pretty creative. Yeah, and I'm sure you suffer the same pain point everybody does. You teach somebody how to close, and then they think they don't need you. Like they don't see the values in the system that you're creating as much, right? This is the common story. If you hired a agent on your team, you teach them, they become a top producer, and then they leave you to go to their own team. And the models where you have the downlines, right, are trying to solve for it by going, well, you can be within my team, just have your own team. It's like a downline. They're trying to solve for it there, but no, it's like I think it's a sales problem, because even at our company, the way we solved it was we created ours is a totally different model, but we created a revenue bonus that was significant enough to where it's like, I'm not going to leave because I keep building my pot of revenue that's reoccurring for Reminder Media that I get a spiff off of at the end of the year. So it'd be like walking away from a massive check every year. And it just, for the most part, I hate to say it's the golden handcuffs, but it keeps, people aligned from a golden handcuffs standpoint. But I don't know how you do that in real estate as successfully, because you don't have the recurring residual income like in a marketing subscription company.
So this will probably change, but we've had 0% of people leave us.
That is amazing, man.
So the way everything comes to me based off of value, right? The way that I see my relationship with my agents is not I'm their boss, they're my employees, I'm their partner, right? And I had 2 failed partnerships in the length of owning Vesta Preferred, and everything came down to value. There was not enough value in for the partnership agreed to. So I am obsessed with over-delivering on my promise to them on why they are here. And the way that I will always do that is by giving them more than they give me, right? Now, the only way that I can see somebody is walking away is they're like, this is too much. I don't want this life. I just want to be left alone. I want to do less. I can't help with that, right? I just can't do that. But the way that we've been able to get people to stay here is that we're constantly giving them more than they put in, and we're giving them a pathway of continuous growth. So I am a really challenging employee, right? Like the little known fact about me, the one real estate company that I worked at before I got
That's why you're an entrepreneur, man.
Yeah. So I got fired from the real estate company I was at before. And the reason was because I was growing too much, and the owner got scared of my growth, and he fired me. It was like it was the most ridiculous whatever.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But like I always remembered that. And I come back to myself and I'm like, I can't be scared of letting my agents get big and successful. And I need to be able to help them get as big and as successful as they want. So when they get a team, I recruit for them. I train their team. I give them the systems for their team. I give them the leads for their team, right? So everything is, unless you want to go do this on your own, right? Because if you just are like, I got to do this. I need my name on the billboard. Then you do that. But like in our contract, I own everything, right? So it's like, you're going to start from ground zero, like go for it. Like I would never redo this again. Like this is the most, like the fact that we're here as an independent company, like this shouldn't be, like we shouldn't be alive.
It's insane. Yeah, it's incredible.
But we're here, like it's, and I couldn't be more proud of it. Would have I done it if I known everything from day one? Probably not, honestly. I probably would have, been happy at a company to like, the amount of toilet paper I have to order. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Here I am. It's like, this is what I'm doing.
They don't teach you about that with success. Is like one of the hardest things is once you've made it a little bit, continuing to push at the level that your company needs you to push to go to the next level, because you've taken, Vesta to a level now. To get it to the next level, you have to have that commitment and that push at even another level. And it's an endless almost game. It's like if Tom Brady wants to stay in the NFL, he has to train and push harder and harder each year. And it's like when you're young and naive, you don't even think about that. And then all of a sudden you start making some money and you start having some success, and the natural temptation is to go in like preservation mode. It's like you almost like go into like, okay, how do I just solidify this so it doesn't, I worked so hard to get here. And that's the moment you die, is the moment you go into preservation mode. It's like you just die instead of just pushing and keep trying to grow to the next level, which sustains actually your current level. But if you try to sustain, it's like you die. It's what I have found.
For sure. My business partner is probably the main reason why Vesta is still alive. And the reason is because of his personality and his understanding of what true happiness is. In the beginning of my career was exactly what you just said. I was constantly wanting more. I wanted to be successful. I was letting the highs like just take me to the next level. I was letting the lows crush me. And I realized I wasn't really happy. I was actually going into a tailspin of depression because it was like I was never satisfied. I always wanted more. And I was like, I wasn't celebrating my successes. But my business partner, Steady Eddie, always happy, very, very thankful for what he had, super grateful, right? Like, just like Steady Eddie. And I'm just like hammering, like, why? What's going on? I was like, I realized what I did was I combined success and happiness as one specific thing. And what I realized is I had to separate them, right? My happiness couldn't be tied to my success, just couldn't be. Because I truly, as much as I love selling real estate, it's not what makes me happy. And at the same time, about that time is when I met my wife and I had my first daughter, and I realized I was abundantly more happy when I was with them. So then what I started to think about was like, I need to use my real estate as a vessel to do and have more time with my family. And that combination changed everything. I became so much happier, so much more relaxed. And honestly, at a certain point of success, when is enough enough? If you can't answer that, you are on a one-way pathway to depression.
Yeah, exactly.
I have enough today, right? Like I have an amazing family. I woke up today. I walked on two legs. I kissed both of my beautiful girls, my beautiful wife, and I came and I had the best opportunity to like be amongst amazing people. Like if today I got served, sorry, you got to close down. I mean, I'd be pissed, but I'd be like, man, that was pretty fucking fun, right? Like that was awesome. So like, you see the difference? Like that's a huge difference.
Well, you found
like no way.
You found your why. You in essence, right? You found your purpose for the push. Because if you don't have your purpose for the push, from what I see, it's like that's where you get depression. And so you are spot on. It's like if you're just growing for keeping up with the Joneses, to impress the other people, to impress yourself, you'll lose. If you're growing, i.e. your concept of the vehicle of real estate is to give me time and the lifestyle I want with my family, or, just and I get some enjoyment out of this, but I'm totally actually doing it for others, or doing it, for this life that I want. That wakes you up and allows you to keep going. And that's why you hear all the great people like Ray Dalio, he talks about the phases of success, and you have your build phase, and you have your growth phase, and you have your maintain phase. And then you have this, when you get older, more wise, more mature, you have your give back phase, because all of the people who are successful, they realize, wow, I have to change my dynamic of success because I'm going to get depressed. And they always, that's why all these older people talk about giving back, and they talk about how can I teach the next person, because they know that's where fulfillment comes from.
It comes in from gratitude. Gratitude is level boss. That's the boss level.
Yeah, it truly is, man.
Incredible, man. Grigory, thank you so much for coming on. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, no, the best way is Instagram. It's just my full name with an underscore, Grigory _Pekarsky. I mean, I don't know if you have my name on there, it's going to be a very challenging. Good luck. Try to find me. I'd love to chat with you. There's all my website, GrigoryPekarsky.com. I mean, I'm always on social. I'm always around. I'd love to connect with everybody. I'm super giving. I have a lot of videos on how to be successful in real estate, right? Like that's just something that I enjoy doing. And the Instagram is probably where I'm the most active. So find me on there and let's connect.
Awesome. Now interviewing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much again. Thank you all for listening. You can get all of those links that Grigory mentioned in the show notes of this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, check the description of the episode. And otherwise, you can go to staypaidpodcast.com where you can get all of the show notes and the videos for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. We will read it here on the show. And the best way to support the show is simply share this episode with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can connect with us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Man, incredible stuff here. Really appreciate you coming on. My action item from this, I think, is so practical for people, is if you don't know your daily activities that are going to ultimately produce the result you want, then you're on the hamster wheel. You've got to know your daily activities. Like, you've got to know what's going to actually produce the outcome you want, because you can say you want to make $10 million all day long in volume, but that's not what's going to produce it. It's the activities. So my challenge to you is sit down and actually write out, hey, what are the activities? Like, how many phone calls does it actually take? How many appointments do you need? How many appointments go off? How many appointments do you close? You got to measure those numbers. If you don't have it, start today measuring it. So the next 90 days, you can actually look back and say, hey, what do I have? Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.